Welcome to the TechRaptor podcast. I'm Robert Scarpanito, your features editor.
And Drotten editor-in-chief.
Rutledge Doggett, site founder.
Andrew Stretch, dungeon editor.
Dungeon editor. No dragons this week. Just a dungeon.
That'll be next week.
Right. This week we're going to talk about actually some big D&D news, and we're also going to talk about Soul Hackers 2, Curse to Golf. But first, let's get into some news that we should all brace for, because the Embracer Group has once again decided we're going to buy everything. Now, Lord of the Rings. The entire Lord of the Rings IP, everything you've ever loved as a child, is now owned by a group in Sweden. Among other things, too. I think they have also purchased an unknown game company in the PC console space that they are refusing to divulge yet. They also own now Limited Run Games and Tripwire Interactive. But the big news here is definitely that Frodo has a new master.
That's right. You know, I'm fine with this. Those Scandinavian countries seem to have their shit together in a lot of ways. I wouldn't mind if they ran some things here in the United States, you know.
So you want Gandalf to be a socialist, is what you're saying.
That's right. Isn't he kind of one? I don't know. Isn't that really what Lord of the Rings is about?
Yeah.
It's not a commentary on World War II at all.
No, that'd be ridiculous.
That's right. It's very.
I thought it was a case study on the uselessness of giant eagles.
Yes.
Or do you mean the uselessness of Frodo?
Yeah, Frodo's also useless.
Yeah.
Samwise is the true hero of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, this is at first I was like, oh, this has to be just like maybe the Lord of the Rings games or something, because like I think still of games mostly with Embracer Group, but you know, they do own like, you know, comic books and prop making companies and stuff, so they're kind of all over. And this is in fact like all of the Lord of the Rings, like films, movie, like TV shows.
They own all of the rights, every bit.
Yeah,
not quite all of it, but close to it. They own the main stuff. They own the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, not the other stuff.
Yeah.
When can I start my hashtag release the Beatles cut for the Beatles Lord of the Rings movie that got canceled?
Oh, that's right.
Oh, was that a thing?
I forgot. Yeah, the Beatles wanted
that was a
to
thing.
make a movie
It was like
they starred in it.
Oh no.
Yeah, like Ringo was gonna be Aragorn or something. It was a wild idea.
Did they not call it Lord of the Ringo?
Oh, God,
No.
nope.
No,
way,
that was a different one that went direct to DVD.
This was recent if it went direct to DVD.
Yeah, I mean, it was in a certain section of the movie store.
Fair. The section no one dares go to. Yeah.
No. You don't just walk there.
So, the Lord of the Rings news is absolutely huge. I got to say, the limited run guys have got to be so happy for as much as, you know, they'll always talk about how what they do is thanks to the people who purchase, and, you know, they're able to create more content because of how well they've been going. But now if they have Embracer Group kind of behind them, I wonder, you know, I hope that means that they're going to be able to do a lot more to help indie companies, indie developers publish their games on more platforms. It'd be lovely to see.
Oh, and I hope it'll help with their timelines too, because it does take a pretty long time to get stuff from them. I think it's almost been 12 months since I ordered my Knights of the Old Republic from them. And I've seen similar complaints from others recently. So hopefully this is an opportunity for them to build a more efficient pipeline, maybe.
Yeah.
And alleviate a lot of those frustrations that gamers have been voicing lately.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it does make you have to wonder, though. Like, yeah, I do hope that purchase helps Limited Run, but Embracer also has a lot of other kids to take care of, right? Like, like truly, their list of things they own is massive. Like,
They're like a NFL
they've embraced
player.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lot. So it's almost like when they own this much, I don't really know functionally how much is really going to change at Limited Run or at Tripwire or with the Lord of the Rings IPs, right? Like, is it just we see a splash screen of Embracer before a movie? You see the little Embracer Group logo on your next Limited Run game, you know, like, I don't know. I don't know how much it'll really affect.
Yeah, that's true. Whether it's just like a purchase in name and then they let the kids go off and do their own things and just make sure to remember their mother when they publish content.
From what I understand of Embracer, they're pretty hands off too. So
Yeah.
it's really just financial backing, I think, is that, you know, we own you now and here's money to grow faster and in result bring profits to us. Because I think a lot of the companies that have been purchased by Embracer haven't functionally changed at all that I can think of. Most of them are just kind of, I'm sure they've got like a division head for each section that's like, hey, how's things going? What can I do to help? And that's probably the brunt of it. And that's like the perfect investment strategy for most companies is like, okay, I get financial backing and I'm left to just kind of be how things have always been. Without being forced into, you know, private investments saying you need to do this, you need to do that. It's just helpful more than anything.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it almost makes you wonder, you know, should we start making like an Embracer bingo card? You know, like
Who will they absorb next?
Yeah, keep an eye out because I mean, this isn't the first major acquisition of the year. Like Crystal Dynamics was this year, right? Along with those other formerly Square Enix companies. And I'm trying to think of like when the last big one was before that. I want to say it was like mid 2021, maybe, but I don't know because I think that was the one where they got like Dark Horse and the Borderlands.
Didn't they buy Asmodee not long ago too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, one thing to call out too, and I can't remember if this was part of it. Embracer recently announced that the Knights of the Old Republic remake is being moved away from Aspire as well to Saber Interactive. So that's interesting as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I
really?
mean, it's
Saber Interactive, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, looking at their Wikipedia page now, that's kind of ludicrous how much they have like purchased, absorbed, taken control of. Yeah.
Or sorry, not Saber Interactive, to an unnamed studio within their portfolio.
Gearbox.
I can't wait for Claptrap to show up.
Yeah. That famous Star Wars droid Claptrap.
Yeah, instead of the droid in the first one, it's fucking Claptrap.
Yeah.
That would actually be really funny.
Right.
Star Wars and Borderlands worlds come, you know, some stupid multiverse bullshit. That's popular now.
The cell shaded planet.
Yeah. Or maybe they've
You find
always
out that-
been the same.
Yeah. You find out that Handsome Jack's last name is Skywalker.
Jack Skywalker.
No, Palpatine. Another one of his kids. He's got lots of them.
Handsome Jack Palpatine.
Yeah, when do we get the Embracer Smash Bros like
Oh, the big crossover
for them
fighting
to do
game.
like the multiverses kind of thing and just a new big crossover fighting game?
Isn't
so-
Multiversus have Gandalf?
No.
Or it's going
no.
to? Which game was that?
It's Fortnite.
Was it Fortnite?
There's rumors that there's going to be a Lord of the Rings collab
Cool.
in the next week or two.
I thought Gandalf was part of that Multiversus leak forever ago before it came out.
Maybe. Well, I mean, I feel like Fortnite just gets everything. I mean, they got fucking Goku last week. You know, like
Yeah.
Can you imagine fucking Gandalf? They bring Gandalf in, or like Frodo, and he does a fucking Kamehameha.
I did see this post on Reddit this morning. It was like the state of gaming, and it's just Indiana Jones doing a Kamehameha to win and get a victory royale.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's off the wall, and I love
That's
it.
the best
Like
part.
you're letting all of this stuff like mash with just absolute insanity.
It's, Fortnite has managed to accidentally become like the most mainstream version of like VR chat or Facebook's horrendous like Horizon social media thing with the dead lifeless avatars. Just, you know, I've seen so many people doing some of the dumbest shit, like, oh, you know, there I was as, you know, this character threw a Kamehameha at Naruto, and then Rick Sanchez showed up and healed him up, and they managed to build a wall and defeat me. I just like, that's not a sentence that should exist.
Yeah, that pickle man's fucking
no,
funny,
that
man.
should exist. That's the whole point of games. They need to exist.
Yeah, I'm so glad you discovered that little gem Fortnite a month ago. Like,
You know, the more I learn about this new game, the more it's like, you know, I like the direction the industry's heading.
Yeah. So here's a question for everyone: if Embracer did make a Smash Bros, who would be in it? Like, you got Lara Croft.
Lara Croft would definitely be in it. What's his face from Deus Ex?
Oh, Adam Jensen.
There you go, Jensen.
Adam Jensen, yeah. And every time you do something, he's like, I didn't ask for this.
Exactly.
I would need to find like you could have the goat from Goat Simulator.
Yeah. They just call him the GOAT, G.O.A.T.
Yeah, that would really work.
Yeah. You could get probably like Aragorn, maybe.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Or Gandalf. I mean, Gandalf would also be good. You know, you got your mage projectile type shit. Borderlands, Jack Palpatine.
Yep, Jack Palpatine would be in there.
Or Claptrap, maybe.
Yo, put Claptrap in Fortnite. That would
the
be
annoying.
absolutely hilarious.
Now they've got this Killing Floor have a main dude. I don't know. I just know that the games exist.
No, they just have like a cast of.
Yeah, I don't know anything about them.
I don't know. Maybe they you play as one of the big zombies or something, like a flesh pound or something.
For limited run games, you're some kind of
It's just a box.
video game box that has different skins of games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find just like a list of like this is the games that technically count as being published, and I just cannot find one.
Oh, Darksiders, was it Rage in 3, or is it Fury?
Yeah,
Fury. I think was her name.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good old Embracer. Just has so much shit under their roof.
Yeah, the Biomutant guy.
Yeah, little Biomutant.
Hell yeah.
Discount Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah.
Kind of.
In other news, lots of big stuff happening in the tabletop realm this week. That little known Dungeons and Dragons game, don't let your kids play it because they'll get into Satan if they do. They're getting an update called, so far it's just a code name, I believe, right? It's not like technically the official name yet, but it's called 1D&D, or it's an update to D&D 5th edition, which if you've listened to literally any D&D podcast in the last year, they play D&D 5th edition probably. This is an update to that, where it's also going to be backwards compatible and forward compatible, so it's all going to work together.
So it's probably going to be closer to how there was like a 3.5 edition, though it does seem, you know, if there's anything similar to the way that the rest of the industry and software is going, I'm kind of wondering whether Dungeons and Dragons is going to be moving into a kind of platform as a service. They've already, you know, since 2014, they've already released just a ludicrous amount of official content. So to have this 1D&D and to have like already been looking at what they were doing with previous player races, with the release of Mordenkainen Presents the Monsters of the Multiverse, they had kind of rebalanced a whole lot of the big bads. They had rebalanced a lot of the races to begin planning for this forward-backwards compatibility thing. It does kind of mean that at the moment, in terms of character creation, that we've got like 3 different ways that you can create a character, depending on like whether you want to use the original content and the original books, this kind of intermediary step that 5th edition is currently in, or you can look ahead and see what you do or do not like about 1 D&D. But I mean, it sounds like a whole bunch more options. Things that you like, you can use. Things that you don't like, you can ignore. It's such a great part of D&D as house games is just make your own shit up.
Yeah, it's almost like people should come up with rules that they play in their own house for these kind of games. I don't know what you would call those, but
no clue. I think that the concept is clearly
call
incorrect.
them
Amendments.
Yeah. Oh no.
Abode amendments.
Yeah.
But so far, like I had a chance to take a look at all of this playtest material. I think what they're doing here is really cool. They're making backgrounds much more important, which really lets you like explode out, what your options are with your characters. They've moved the ability score increases off the race and into the background, which just makes more sense. Yeah. It's not like the fact that you're human that lets you have an extra stat here or there, but if you've been like in gladiatorial combat since you were, a 5-year-old kid, then of course you're going to be stronger than someone else you run into. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see what's going on with it.
Yeah, I think overall it's kind of it looks like it's making the D&D experience more flat, but in a good way, where it's like you can kind of really customize everything to be the character that feels like you, or like the character you want to play as, but the rules themselves are going to be customizable enough, where you can still play with other people in the space instead of having to bring in all of these like house rules from home to like make your character work, right?
They're also the feats have changed. So at certain levels, you can either choose to improve your ability scores, or you can pick up a feat, and the feat will just give you a new character feature that you can perform. That the feats now have prerequisites. The feats have different levels to them. And there will also be some feats that are repeatable. At the moment, we've only seen this stuff at first level, so nothing's repeatable and nothing has prerequisites. But they make a point in there to specify that, like, hey, if you picked a feat and during the course of play you lose whatever the prerequisite is, then you cannot use that feat. That I had originally been thinking, well, I guess feats prerequisites will be like, okay, you need to be a wizard to be able to do this thing. But if they're talking about, there will be prerequisites that you also lose access to, then I'm wondering whether that will be something like situational in combat, like added flanking bonus when you are flanking with, one of your friendly creatures, or whether it's going to be tied to like equipment or your status. Like I think, if there was a feature that would only trigger when you were in the poison status, to like maybe create some kind of feat related to like drunken kung fu for a fighter. I think that would be a really interesting way to expand out and to create more powerful feats that you then might need to, dock yourself in one way or another.
Right. Because I've always thought of like previous D&D to be like, if I remember right, wasn't Drunken Fighter like one of I forget the term for it, but in 3.5 there was like master classes or something like that.
Yeah, I haven't delved too much into 3 and 4 myself, but it was that like after you were up to like a certain level in a certain class, you could then shift and like start working into like a different class. It was a lot more like MMO like.
So yeah, is this job system here? We're playing Final Fantasy now.
Yeah, so that's the
Yeah,
thing.
so
It feels very job system-y, or at least it did before, like
yeah,
previous D&D. But I think it's probably a reason why Final Fantasy 14 does so well. Is like, sure, your job right now is like you're a monk, right? But then you can just kind of drop everything and like shift over to be another thing. And it kind of feels like one D&D is like not exactly that yet, but it's a little more free form where it's like maybe you're a fighter, sure, but you can pick up feats to do kind of a different thing too, you know?
yeah. And like you can have like at the moment in 5th edition, because feats don't have any prerequisites, you can be a 100% like martial class. You just walk around with 2 axes and that's all you do. But you can pick up a feat that then lets you, cast a cantrip from a different like spell list. And whether that does or does not make sense narratively in the story, that doesn't really matter. But it might be that, we start to see some more powerful feats, but you've got to be able to do something to get to that point. So I think that it will help with power scaling more and allowing you to specify better.
Mm-hmm. And pro tip, if you're playing with people that are like, that doesn't make sense in the story, actually, you're probably playing with the wrong group, because a fun group would be like, okay, we'll figure out how to make it work, Yeah,
it's like, oh, we can work that.
Yeah, exactly.
But there were so many other D&D announcements this week. They announced their like 2023 lineup, which looks huge. They've got the new campaign book coming that also has a battle board game, but like that you can get bundled with it. That the battle board game has the large battle scenarios from the campaign. So it might be that, you're playing traditional D&D, you get to a certain point and there's a large battle about to occur, and okay, everyone like import your character sheet into this tabletop board game experience, and now it's a big fight for that. They got Planescape coming, a whole bunch of source books on giants, and a new anthology series that's specifically for heists, so you can like do Oceans-esque heists going on. And D&D Beyond is getting virtual tabletop system and like bundled physical digital deals, which is just huge. That's exactly what people have been wanting.
That virtual tabletop thing is probably the thing I'm most excited about, because I think that just sounds like a really nice addition to D&D, because I've always felt like you either have to invest a ton in figs and like physical maps, or invest time and draw your own maps, or just have Roll20 do it for you, or now D&D Beyond, right? And just seeing that D&D themselves wants to go all in on like, we're going to bring that experience to you instead of you having to bring that experience to us. I don't know. It's a nice shift, and I'm curious how this is going to affect the D&D like community right now.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a bit of a landslide one way or another. Like, Roll20 definitely would still have the usability of it being all 2D. If you have a battle running and it's running in Unreal on your laptop or your desktop or whatever, what will the system requirements be to play Dungeons and Dragons? It's just a weird question to think about.
Yeah, this campaign book requires a GTX 1060 to play.
Yeah.
To render the final battle.
And then it'll also be interesting as they're adding to this virtual tabletop, like, are they going to pre-make the maps for you? Like, if you get to that page in the book and it says, here's the location, here's where the fight's going to happen, here's where the different things are situated, then is it just going to be that you'll be able to like click on that encounter and it will take you exactly to that virtual map with those virtual minis? Or is there going to be a larger buy-in that you have to start doing to get digital versions of your characters, digital versions of the minis and stuff?
Sounds like hell. Everything about the modern monetization of shit is just a hellscape.
Oh, it's not the work that's going into it that sounds like hell to you.
Yes.
Okay. So I was thinking like, yeah, it sounds like being a DM is going to be even more exhausting.
Well, I mean, if they do, like, one of the things that they specifically stated is that they want to help the lazy DM, because all DMs are lazy. That if it is all built in and like you buy the physical book and it comes with a code that you redeem and you've now got access to all the digital shit, I'm sure that the virtual tabletop will be tied to like the subscriptions that they have.
Right.
But I don't know, as someone who already pays the subscription, I'm just excited for it.
As someone who's already in very deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, to anyone who's interested in like wanting to get more into Dungeons and Dragons and is interested in D&D Beyond, they literally have a weekly stream that they normally give away 1 to 2 of the legendary bundles, which has everything, absolutely every book on D&D Beyond. And you just like, you show up for the stream and you like put in a code when it comes up on the screen. You know, I was lucky enough to win that. But there's only like 200 people ever in the stream at a time, like watching these content updates. So like a 1 in 200 chance to get $1,000 worth of D&D books. It's probably worth your time if you're interested in it.
Yeah, like if you really want it, just put in that little bit of effort, right? And you'll get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. In other news, Dead Island 2 is not dead yet, maybe. Allegedly, possibly. We've seen a leaked Amazon listing of it where it had a release date of February 3rd, 2023 for Dead Island 2. Now, you might remember this game as there's that one trailer where the guy is like running down the street and then some goats show
Simulator
up.
3?
Oh, sorry. The other one where a guy's running down the street and some zombies show up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay, no, I'm with you now.
That one. And we haven't heard anything really since that. I mean, it's been quite a while for Dead Island 2.
I'm going to try to... So
It's been like 9 years since we saw that original trailer.
Yeah,
the reveal trailer was E3. Remember that? E3 2014.
2014.
I think I was still in college. When that came out. And I am now married and in a career.
But the question is, will Dead Island 2 have grown up with you?
Probably not.
Has it matured?
Since that announcement, there have been children born that are now Indiana Jones Kamehameha people in Fortnite.
Yes.
That's how old it is.
Yeah. That's how old it isn't, because it's not even out.
It's true. We don't know if it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably
wild.
real. It's
the new Duke Nukem Forever.
I hope not. I would very much love to see.
How about
this
this?
not be awful?
In between the time of the trailer originally being shown and when it will supposedly be out, there will be kids that are older than the little girl who was thrown out of the window in the trailer for the first game.
That's right.
Yeah.
Here's what might hurt the most. This was announced at the first E3 that was covered by TechRaptor. We were literally founded the same year that this game was announced.
Wow.
So this is kind of our white whale
That's right.
as a company.
This.
God. I covered E3 by myself that year. That was...
Oh, yeah, and it shows.
Holy shit.
Dang.
Okay.
Dude, I've gone back and looked at some of those old E3
Aren't they
covers.
bad?
As someone who joined TechRaptor specifically with the idea of I'd like to cover E3, man, your 1.5 sentences per announcement is some low tier garbage. I think that we have since removed them from the site for to make sure that we're not. Oh, they are still there?
Yeah, I've been doing a quality audit, and most of my content is getting cut.
Flagged as like really good quality, or like the best of the best, right?
Yeah, this is all adding
The
up
best
to
choice
me.
to be removed, yes.
This all makes sense. This all makes sense.
Yeah.
Is it flagged like bad games we talk about? Because that's most of
only
what you
Elex
talk
though.
about. Okay, can we remove all content related to that?
I wish Drupal had a setting where I could just sort our content by author, and then I would just select all and delete mine, except for the last couple years, because this started as a tech blog, and
if you go back, we've got some weird very tech, very error, like Windows or
we reviewed Windows 10 or something.
Yeah,
that was me.
Yes, I know.
Was that you? Oh shit!
Yeah, that was fun. I got so much hate for that because I said I enjoyed it.
I would have too.
Did you give it a Windows 10 out of 10?
No,
I don't think that we scored it.
I don't
9
remember.
clippies out of 10.
So other fun Dead Rising ideas since the release
Dead
of
Rising?
or Dead
Rising.
Island. Sorry,
I
not
don't
Dead
know,
Rising.
all these fucking zombie
We haven't
games.
seen that one in a
It's the
while
other
either,
one.
to be
We
fair.
haven't. Yeah, it was like Dead Rising 4, and then. But since Dead Island 1 came out, not one but 2 Dying Lights have come out. The game that everyone was like, "Oh, this is Dead Island open world." We've seen 2 of those now.
Yeah,
Between the time
And
of,
like Dying Light 2 took a while.
yes,
Even.
like it was delayed, right? Like once or twice, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw a Kingdom Hearts game come out.
It's crazy.
How many have we? Because it's been
Kingdom
12.
It's only been one. Well, I guess
Well,
unless
the
you count
mainline
spin-offs.
ones.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, and we have an announcement for Kingdom Hearts 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because 12 years ago was Dead Island. So that puts it at 2010.
To put that in perspective, that's like the beginning of the MCU still.
Iron Man was like
Holy.
just a
I think
thing.
2010, is that when Avengers came out?
I want to say, no, 2010 I think
2010.
was Iron Man.
Iron Man was 2008.
2008 was Iron Man and Hulk.
Oh my god.
So
Avengers was 2011 or 12, right? Like the first
I think it
Avengers.
was 2012 because it was like 4 years that they built up to Avengers.
Iron Man 3,
So that might have been
Thor Dark World. And those are the only 2. I guess Agent Carter 2 is part of that, but
is
like
2010.
mainline movies, those were the 2 that came out in 2013.
And so that would have been the 3rd or the 4th MCU film. So that would have been like 6 or 7 hours worth of MCU. And we now have over 100 hours of MCU content.
Yes. And no hours of Dead Island
And
2
yet,
content yet.
they couldn't put out a fucking zombie video game. I feel like I could put one. No, I'm just kidding. I'm making games is hard. I'm not going to go down that road.
I'm trying to make a jump. Shit. Fuck.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, this is the game that notoriously had that song, Who Do You Voodoo Bitch? Lest we forget.
Yep.
Yeah.
So ironically, the first Goat Simulator came out in 2014 when the announcement for Dead Island 2. Destiny came out in 2014.
Yep. Sometimes I look at like past release dates and just think, holy fucking shit, there are so many games that can't come out, and it's only ramping up.
Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 came out in 2014, and we've had
We
like
had
12
like
more of
17
those.
more since then. Yeah.
Like when Dead Island 1 came out, more people had old school flip phones. And now with Dead Island 2 comes
no.
out, more people will have flip smartphones.
Yeah, when Dead
And you'll
Island
be
came
able to
out,
play Dead Island 2 on xCloud.
when
Yes.
Dead Island came out, the iPhone was only like 3 years old.
Yeah. It was just finding its footing.
Yeah.
So I wonder, knowing that it's been in dev life cycle for so long, that so many other zombie games have come out, I wonder how similar it might be to the original idea of Dead Island, or whether they've been using this time to find out what their next evolution will be. Because, like, I mean, when it was first announced, who knows how far into dev they were.
Yeah.
Well,
But I guess they still would have had to have laid out a ground map by then.
Yeah. According to the leaked Amazon screenshot, we know it'll be in Los Angeles with 6 playable characters and a brand new skill system, whatever that means.
I'd hope it has some new stuff.
I do too. Yeah.
It's also got some really good screenshots that are not photoshopped at all.
Oh, I don't know about
that
one.
shot absolutely looks photoshopped. Like the zombies just look out of place in it and not the correct size.
Yeah.
It's the lighting.
Yeah, and the
Especially
lighting
the-
on each of them.
The boomer in the back is also just like, you know, hey, did you lose your mom? Like, you're so small and cute.
Wait, Rut, what are you talking about? I don't see Rut in that image stretch.
Hey now. Did you just
He's
call me
busy
a
writing
boomer
inferior
the same
content.
week I got called a beta?
Yeah, you're a beta boomer. Oh,
For
no.
full disclosure for anyone who's listened this far, the developer of Domina Game called me a beta on Twitter. I can't even remember what. Like, it was
Have you tried not being
insane.
a beta?
Yeah. This whiny voice is not helping the beta image. Just saying. Maybe try a different angle.
I need you to stop attacking me.
Welcome to the Comedy Central roast of Rutledge Dogette.
That's just our Slack.
That's what Slack
24/7,
is.
We have been roasting you particularly hard. We might need to cool it for a little bit.
Yeah. I don't think I've gone an hour in the last week without being called a beta by somebody on the team.
Hey,
And how does
call
that
you a
make you
beta
feel?
because we care.
We're just trying to develop that thick skin so you're not a beta anymore. That's it.
If I don't have thick skin by now after 9 years of doing this shit, there's no
got
hope
it.
for me.
You've got to become the kind of Chad that can floss and then Kamehameha someone at the Tipsy
I
Tower.
can't floss. My wife
Hey.
makes fun of me for it. I try, and then I'm just so uncoordinated that it just doesn't happen.
Look at it this
man.
way. You might be a beta, but Star Citizen hasn't reached beta yet. So you're at least better than that.
That's because Star Citizen is too alpha.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that's
Fuck,
true.
that's right. Alpha's first.
It
Sorry, buddy.
backfired.
Yeah.
Chad Star Citizen. My bad.
It wins
Shaking down
again.
people for their lunch money. What a scam.
Yeah. I'm wondering if we're going to see the official Dead Island 2 announcement at Gamescom next week. Among
Seems
like,
to
a
be.
ton of other
It
things.
seems like that's like for it to be a February release and there to be nothing talked about yet. Like the timing is a little right
Did
for it to be a game
G-Hoff react to Dead Island 2? That's our key. That's how we know.
G-Hoff,
Yeah, G-Hoff.
G-Hoff, Dorito Pope.
Hot G-Hoff summer. Did he say something?
I don't think so.
I'm sure
I feel
it
like
will
I
be.
would have seen it in my feed if he had.
If he didn't react to it at all, it's definitely there. Just saying.
But I think that he just came out and said that, like, of the 30-something reveals that he's involved with, he has reacted to like 11 of them on Twitter already. So it's like it's now he's done the opposite. Instead of you scrutinizing what he doesn't respond to, he's triggered everyone to start to scrutinize and contemplate what he has responded to.
Yeah, I may have.
Yeah.
I'm looking at G-Hoff's Twitter right now, and I may have seen the best image I've ever seen in my life
Oh, no.
on there. It's the best.
But yeah, it's been so crazy in the news department here. We've been like kind of struggling to find stuff to gather together. Like there's plenty of news, but there's not like any of the big stuff that you'd normally see trickling through the week.
Yeah.
And it's just like the whole games industry is just collectively holding its breath for next week.
It's usually the case before a big event is like it's just very quiet because nobody wants to be the one to announce something big right before it gets overshadowed by everything else.
Exactly.
Especially in this season where like September and October are stacked for releases. And so I'm very curious to see what gets announced at Gamescom that has an October, November, December release date. Also slightly terrified. So,
Right. But before we get into games, can we play a little game right here? Can we go around the room and just make a prediction of what we think is going to show up at Gamescom, just so we can huddle back next week and see how wrong all of us are?
I was not prepared for this.
Me neither.
This definitely should be something that
They'll show off the Cyberpunk DLC.
GoldenEye for Games Pass.
GoldenEye
for Games Pass. Okay.
Fable, the new Fable thing. Fable
that's a good
Legends.
one.
That's
Or
not
whatever
fucking
it's called.
happening, but all right.
Did you say Fable Dungeons?
Fable Legends, right?
Isn't that what
What's
it
it
is?
called?
No, that was
Fable.
the like MOBA
Yeah, it
one
was
that got
the-
canceled.
Oh yeah.
Cancel one.
They're
Yeah.
just working on straight.
I think
it's just straight up
Fable.
called Fable.
And
It's not even like Fable 4.
Yeah. Because we're not going to see. I don't think we're going to see Nintendo stuff.
No, I don't think so.
probably not.
Actually, there's rumors. We record on a Saturday, but there's rumors that tomorrow there's going to be a new Pokemon trailer. So we'll probably see what will be the future and past forms. So that would be cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe.
Trying to think what else Nintendo is really on its way. We're still waiting to hear about what's happening with Advanced Wars 1+2.
Yeah.
Because that got delayed.
Yeah, but if I remember right, it wasn't because of like development reasons, but more.
Oh, it was like global
Real world.
issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they didn't want to launch the same game in the same week that Russia invaded the Ukraine,
Yeah.
which is respectable. Like, good on them.
Yeah.
Stalker 2, maybe? Get an announcement date?
Maybe. I don't know what the status of the studio is after they left Ukraine, right? I think they left Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, regardless, we will have a lot to talk about next week. We'll probably, like today, we've spent a whole lot of time talking about a few things. Next week, it's just going to be like rapid fire. Like, we need to get through all of this.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think we're going to see anything Square. I'll say that because Tokyo Game Show is coming up.
Yeah.
I think we're not seeing the next Marvel character in Avengers.
Oh, maybe that garbage. Yeah.
That's
that's Embracer now.
That's going to be that's leaked. That's going to be the Winter Soldier.
Classic.
I thought that was a villain.
Barnes.
Well, I mean, it's Bucky, but he's still the Winter Soldier even when he's good. He becomes White Wolf for a little bit, if I know my comics right, which I don't. But
You think that they'll finally show us a Last of Us like trailer for the show?
Instead of just talking about it.
Yeah. And just one picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well,
No, that won't be there, but
no. Let's get into some games that we've been playing in the past week. Rut, do you want to talk about Cursed to Golf?
Yeah. Curse to Golf is from probably one of my favorite like indie groups, Thunderful. They're the ones that do all the SteamWorld games, which are just delightful if you haven't played them. And Curse to Golf is a golfing roguelike, roguey wogie.
Roguey
Wogie. Even I forget the rule.
It's a roguey wogie bogey.
Roguey wogie, but well played. Well played. Yep. And it's what you would expect from a roguelike type game. Music's delightful, like, and the music is so good. I left it open in the background while I was doing SEO stuff this morning for like 2 hours. Just had it running in the background. It was just nice background music. But the gameplay is really solid. In terms of, you've got a set number of strokes to get to the end of the level, or you have to start over. So it's basically it's golf with cards, to where you can power up your shots, and the levels are like unique and kind of twisting and turning in certain ways that like you can really only get to some things by using some of the power up cards. Like I think the best example is there's on some maps there's like teleporters, so you go through the teleporter, it takes you further down the level. And for some of them, the only way to do it is to hit like a line drive and then use a direction reverse card to go past it and then shoot up into it. And I kind of like that aspect, that there's a bit of a puzzle. Like, okay, I'm going to look ahead. How am I going to get here to blow up this TNT and drop down this hole to proceed a little faster? And it's not easy. It is very difficult. And from what I understand, I think the farthest I've made it is 7 holes so far. You've got to get through all 18 to beat the game
in one run.
So, in one run, and it's a slog, but you can leave and come back. Like, you don't have to do it all. God, that would take like 8 straight hours.
Yeah.
So you've got to like plan out. You've got to be careful with your card usage, and it's very clever. I think if you enjoy Rogi Wogies, you enjoy kind of golf-esque aspects to a game, and you're looking for something that you can sit down, play for a little bit, or play for a lot of it, this is definitely one worth picking up.
Yeah. I've been playing a little bit of it too, and I definitely echo that idea. That's very hard. Like, I still have not beaten the first boss, which is at hole 5. I don't even think of it as a golf game in a way. I feel like golf is just the vehicle for a puzzle, right? But it's not a golf game. I think maybe the thing I'm struggling the most with it is that it has, like, you can zoom out to see the whole map and pan around to kind of plan your shots. But then when you're actually in the middle of like doing the shot, you can't really zoom out much, and the field of view is very narrow. So when you're using like a driver, you're kind of, like, you're going to hit it, and then God will take care of the rest, like, you'll kind of see what happens after that. And you can kind of make a really good educated guess by like zooming out before, but like when you're trying to figure out the arc of your shot, it can feel like a guessing game, which makes it feel a little arbitrary. But otherwise, I do think, it's a very clever game. It's very, like, there's smart ways to use the different power-ups, like, where at first, you read the power-up like scatter shot, and you're like, so in the middle of the air, you can detonate your ball into 3 separate balls. And at first you think, oh, okay, I mean, that seems kind of neat. But then when you like actually use it in a level, you kind of understand, like there's one level I played where it's like a really long fall, and then at the bottom of it are 2 directions to go. And I very much wanted one of the directions, but there's so many obstacles in the way that it's almost like playing pinball. You can't really plan how it's going to fall, but if you scatter shot, one of those balls is probably going to land in the direction you want to go, and you follow that, and that's one stroke down, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's definitely challenging, and you do kind of have to try and plan ahead as best as you can. Because you've got the stroke limit, so you can't just take multiple shots trying to get somewhere. Like, you've got to typically nail it in that first or second shot, or you're going to be in trouble. And there's the statues, there's these little statues scattered throughout that you can hit to get more strokes, so you can kind of plan around that a bit. But I think I'm on run like 14 or so, and I'm still like figuring things out.
It's a charming little game, though.
Picking up.
Yeah, would recommend it. It's very cute, but also very, very challenging. Stretch, you've been hacking our souls.
I've been deep into the JRPG grind.
This is your Xenoblade.
I've been checking out Shin Megami Tensei Soul Hackers 2. I think it's the full. No, there was Shin Megami Tensei Soul Hackers. This one's just going to be called Soul Hackers 2. If you're a fan of SMT, if you're a fan of Persona, you'll enjoy checking this game out. My review went up last week. The game itself comes out on the 24th.
It's
but
this
it's a
Friday
really
of the show, right?
is that Friday?
Is it Friday?
Or is it? No, it's a Wednesday.
It's like
This Wednesday.
Thursday. Wednesday.
Eh, it's the 24th.
It's this week. Yeah, it comes out this week.
It's some day of the week.
But yeah, it's a really fun. It's if you mixed like the digital elements of Future Society with demon summoning and a big fuck off JRPG plotline, kind of this is what you get. It's a really cool game in that each of the party members that you have very much fills the anime archetype. Like, you know, it's a SMT game, so you've got to build the party, you've got to summon demons to do battles to try to stop a big world-ending threat occurring. But the relationship that each of your party members has with the main antagonist is really interesting and unique. A lot of them fall into kind of archetypal formula. You've got the one person who is on the like rival devil summoner team, and there it's like always been about head-to-head competition. One of your party members was freelance devil summoner that didn't work on either side but got caught up in the middle of the battles and lost a lot. Mm-hmm. And then the third one is an ex-lover of the main antagonist as well. So it takes archetypes that you are familiar with, but then in the way that they play off each other, or even as you watch each character come to the kind of the breaking point of like what they feel they can and cannot do, either if it's directly against this main antagonistic force or even in amongst the group. They did a really fantastic job fleshing out those characters. The storyline is, fun and bombastic and large scale. The world is really fun and good looking. The biggest issue that I have with the game is with the main companion dungeon system. As you play, you can make choices that will increase the soul level with different characters. There's kind of like your affinity with them. But it's very easy to get to the final floor, like in a single playthrough. You're just working with the three of them. Each time it like gives you the options, it will tell you whose affinity, what option will increase and how much by. So unlike, Persona, where it's a bit of like a question mark as to when you can or cannot like rank up with people. Instead, this is like, oh yeah, this is, if you say this is going to improve their soul level with you by 8 points.
Oh.
And that becomes three separate like optional dungeons, one for each of your party members. And they are absolute copy paste, like generic digital looking blue backdrop labyrinth, like moving through floor systems, random encounters. Getting through the first or second floor is like, okay, well, I can kind of see where I need to go so I can know where the wrong path is, the right path is. But then you get into like, oh, there'll be teleporters everywhere and you need to teleport randomly your way around. And like one of the characters' fourth floors is like one teleporter will take you to the correct spot and every other teleporter will just teleport you about a 30-second walk further back from where you are. And it goes from being like a very good way to allow you to have more progression with the characters, understand more of their backstory, and get some extra battles in so that you don't have to do like forced grinding as much. But it's such a thin veneer. And, there'd be times I'd, spend maybe 2 or 3 hours working through a single floor to get maybe 2 minutes worth of story related cutscene or relationship deepening cutscene. And then it's like, okay, the next floor is open. And then it's just a bigger, larger dungeon that looks the exact fucking same. And it's also through those dungeons that your characters will get like their most powerful abilities.
So you're really incentivized to do it.
Yeah. And completing the whole game, and I mostly 100% completed it. Completing the whole game took me about 75 hours. And probably a good 30-40% of that, and this is probably me lowballing it, was trudging through monotonous, samey looking optional dungeon.
Oof. It kind of sounds like it reminds me of Tartarus from Persona 3.
Yeah.
It's like randomly generated, samey walls.
Yeah, it's very similar with like Tartarus and with Mementos and the Labyrinth from Shin Megami Tensei 3 as well. But just imagine if there was no difference between any floors and it was just an ever expanse of like blue. It's just, like they didn't even like give it like a one is blue, one is red, one is green for each of the three characters.
No, that'd be too much in the budget.
It's just a blue dungeon. Like people are going to physically lose sleep because of how much blue light will be entering their eyes.
Can I ask, how is the combat? How does that feel compared to like, say, a Persona or Shin Megami 5?
Combat is excellent. It takes it that step further from Persona, that every character you can pick and choose what demon you want them to have. Those abilities that I was mentioning that you would go through the soul dungeon for, it does slightly tilt different characters into different affinities. Like, whether one person might get an added bonus if they do fire damage. But you can also equip the characters themselves later with items that just like always allow them to have a fire attack on hand. So the freedom to mix and match and fuse demons and just build up your party in whatever way possible, I loved. It's got those same damage system as Persona. It does have a neat feature that every time you strike an enemy's weakness, or later on when you get these extra abilities, you build up a stack, and then at the end of every turn, that stack gets spent and it does damage to everyone. So it really does promote and push the idea of playing strategically. Like, yeah, I have a really powerful demon that has all of these fire abilities, but to get that extra attack off that will hit every enemy, it's worth it to swap to an ice creature and deal a quick ice attack for that bonus. Gotcha. The combat, like, they fucked with the least, but it was amazing. It was perfect. It was a lot of fun.
I mean, I feel like you don't have to do much to make that Shin Megami Persona combat to be really engaging, because the baseline of it is still pretty strong, right?
Yeah. No, it's an absolute blast. It's like I will talk a lot about how that, like, I wish that they did more with that dungeon, but what was done did save me from just like having to run in a circle in a dungeon later on to build up experience. So it did give that false sense of progression. But it was really fun. I had a blast. As nice. I said, I've like nearly 100% completed it. So,
yeah,
and that's I don't do that for every game.
That's on everything, right? Or just Switch?
No, I played it on PC. I believe it's on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. I don't think it's on Switch.
Oh, no Switch. Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
that's Soul Hackers 2. Maybe get it while you're waiting for Persona 6 news, because
you're gonna be waiting a while.
Gonna take some time.
It'll take your time, yes, indeed.
Oh, but you can, if you pre-order the game, you do get outfits that make all of your characters look like the Phantom Thieves from Persona 5. So if you want to just like get some good old copium and pretend that you're playing a new Persona 5 game, then that'll work.
Yeah, this is Persona 5 too. Really, kind of. I've been getting in the driver's seat, been vrooming around, and I've been playing Gran Turismo 7 because it was recently on sale on PlayStation, and I kind of felt that, that Nintendo feeling of these PlayStation games never go on sale, at least something like Gran Turismo. So I decided to pick it up,
And now you learned what? No.
It has been a minute since I've played a GT game, because last time I did, I was a child, and I don't even remember which one I played. But it was like an old like PS2 one, I think. And man, this I have not played a game so up its own ass in such a long time. This game is so prestigious and sophisticated. Wow. You know, it opens up with like you play a round of the music rally thing, which is like they play a song, you just see how much distance you can travel, like how many laps you can do in this course basically until the song ends. And it's like their way to like be okay, like here, you know, get a taste of the game, get a taste of like it's easy, like this is an easy track, you know, you just kind of hold the accelerator and turn when you need to and just kind of vibe it, feel it, you know, dance to the music. And that's their like tutorial kind of, or not tutorial really, but they're, you know, you get a taste. And then when you're done, you exit it, and then it plays a 10-minute video ish. It's probably longer than like it's maybe like 6 to 7 minutes. It's not that long, but it plays historical footage of like it's not just car history like
cars.
No, it's not just cars. Charlie Chaplin's in it. Elvis Presley is in this thing. I'm pretty sure there was a shot of like Michael Jordan doing a dunk. It plays just like the history of the human experience kind of stuff set to classical music. Well, like their own take on classical music for like half of it. And then it hard shifts into like vroom vroom modern day car, like sports cars, and like butt rock playing. And like, it's, you know, it's so weird. I don't know yet what Charlie Chaplin has to do with a Porsche, but I'm excited to find out maybe. But that whole experience just felt very like, this is Gran Turismo 7. This is the most prestigious racing game on the planet, you know? It just it felt so grandiose.
How is the car handling? Because I'm sure that's what you would hope would be the less up itself.
It's fine. It plays fine. It's a little more heavy than I think Forza feels. Because you know Forza it leans a little more arcadey than
the arcade,
yeah. So this does feel
Horizon
heavier.
Though, right? Isn't Motorsport also like pretty simple? Maybe not as far up its own ass, but it's still also like we're going for super realism.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess there's a reason I've gravitated more to Horizon than Motorsport. So this GT game is like, I guess, dipping into the Motorsport part of it. And I think I'm liking the racing part of it more than I thought. Because it does feel kind of nice, but it's also very like it's pretty hardcore. Like like to complete a track, there are some things where it's like, you know, if you do it in this time, it's gold, this time silver, and that time is bronze. And it's really just a couple of seconds between them. So it's really like a matter of if you not even fuck up a turn, but if you just don't do this turn like precisely and perfectly, you're not going to make the gold, you know? So it is really like training you to be a really good driver in the game, which I mean makes sense, right? I did find it odd though that like maybe this is a series staple and everyone who's a big fan of the games are like this is how it's always been and we like it. For a game that is a very popular PlayStation franchise and takes its racing very seriously and history of racing and history of cars and all of this stuff. Yeah, history of Charlie Chaplin. There's no voice acting and a lot of text. And it's just a picture of a person in a little circle. And they don't even emote or move their face or anything. It's just a headshot.
It's like talking to a customer service representative on a chat.
Yeah, and then they're just like, hello, we would like you to collect 3 European style hot hatches or something. And then after you collect them, they're like, oh, here's the history of hot hatches. And it's still just text on the screen. No one's voicing it or anything. And it just
weird.
I don't know. I mean, like in some ways it's like, this is probably the most comprehensive car history education I've ever gotten so far. But
did you want that?
I mean, I bought a Gran Turismo game. I kind of knew what I was getting into.
Yeah,
I didn't
that's true.
expect it to be packaged in such a like hoity-toity kind of way, but it is, it's a lot of car education. It's just interesting that it's like no voice acting at all, which like not that it has to have it, but something this big just kind of feels like a miss.
You couldn't shell out a little bit of budget for some voiceover.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I mean, for not to reveal my fanboyism too much, but kind of that hoity-toityness is pretty consistent throughout a lot of Sony's marketing in general as well. That it makes sense that it would be present in what is already like a niche simulation game.
Yeah. I mean, just for comparison, right? Like I just described how GT7 opens. Forza Horizon opens with you gunning it in a Senna at 212 miles per hour down a fucking desert. And then when you cross the finish line, they put you in a Ford Bronco and airdrop you off the side of an erupting volcano. So you can just race down it. And it's like, yeah, this is
Forza
fun.
Horizon
this is
has the sickest intros.
Yeah. And so like you compare that with you play around a music rally and then watch a video. It sets a very different tone, right?
Yeah, I wonder once we do get back to like Forza Motorsport, what we're going to see changes in that as well, the shift in the landscape.
Yeah, because I mean they're rebranding Motorsport, right? Like, aren't they doing like a reboot, a soft reboot kind of thing? Like it's not going to be Motorsport 8.
I don't pay enough attention to racing simulators.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I'm glad that I have, because I've been wondering that for a long time. I think I remember when GT7 was coming out, we were talking about Forza for a while. My mind was like, man, I think it'd be pretty cool to play a racing game, but feel that DualSense controller in your hands, right? I don't think it's worth figuring out the answer to that.
Oh, no.
I mean, the triggers do like, give you resistance, and it does feel kind of nice, but I don't know if it's like, $70 racing game experience nice enough, right? Like I think at that point, like if you really are in for the haptics and the feedback, you probably already own the chair and the rig and the racing wheel and all of that stuff. So yeah.
The dual sense is like the dipping your toe in the water of haptic feedback peripherals. You're not about to get like the bulletproof sound vest that will like vibrate with music in games to truly immerse you.
Yeah. I want to feel every car crash,
Yeah, nothing's really touched Astrobot in terms of the DualSense coolness.
No, it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, that's like saying that nothing did iToy as well as iToy did. It's like, yeah, it was designed specifically to show off those features, and it's going to be.
To be fair, I think what the DualSense has in it is a little more like can play into more games than the iToy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, I guess that's correct. Hey, well then, how about, I don't know, Kinect Adventures? There were other games that did connect well.
Yeah. Like the Dragon Ball Connect. And Star Wars Connect.
They made that. Star Wars Connect did it fantastically. You shut the hell up. Star Wars Connect was perfect.
Are you Han Solo?
I've got a copy of that somewhere. Like it didn't even run because I bought it in the US. It didn't even run on my European Xbox 360, but I wanted to purchase it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to like say anything too bad because I know GT's like Gran Turismo, like there's a lot of big fans of it there. And I know it's like done a lot for like the racing game community and all. So I think I'm learning that GT7 may not be my bag. I think I'm maybe too much of a casual and enjoy the volcano driving of a Forza Horizon than a super serious cornering just right sort of game like Gran Turismo. But it's nice to know that now, Yeah.
And now you know the history of mankind, so double benefit.
Yeah.
Now we know that not only is Rut a beta, but Scrappy is also a beta.
Yes.
How great
Indeed.
would it have been in that video if they had just had like they had edited in like various Gran Turismo cars in like the background? Like Michael George is dunking and there's a car just in the crowd.
And or like he lands in the car and drives off.
We've been there the whole time.
But I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of the TechRaptor podcast. Hope you enjoyed. And if you did, please feel free to leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening on. It would really help us out a lot. Or share it with a friend. Let them know and enjoy the wonderful video game discussions we have. And let us know down below, what do you think about the Embracer Group taking over all of your favorite Hobbitses and Lord of the Ringses? Are you excited? Or are you worried? Or do you not care? Let us know down below. If you would like more from us at TechRaptor, we're always publishing news, reviews, and features and so on at techraptor.net. But if you want more of this show, we will be back next Monday, probably with a lot of Gamescom news. We'll see you then.